For the past few months, I've been living out of a suitcase, and this has actually been sort of a theme in my life for the last decade. It has definitely taught me some things, like how to feel at home wherever I am in the world and how to show up as the best version of myself each and every day. I found that a key part of this is developing a solid morning routine, a way to anchor ourselves in time rather than space, so we can really thrive regardless of the external chaos going on around us. Hey guys, it's Robin and welcome to the Science of Self-Care. On this channel we talk about health science, we talk about life philosophy, and we do a whole lot of self-care experimentation. Today I want to specifically reflect on morning routines, and especially my morning routine and how it's evolved over long periods of travel and like right now when I'm living out of a suitcase. It honestly makes me think of a principle in microbiology that I learned about during grad school. If researchers want to create a bacterial strain in the lab that will survive in the wild, then they need to make sure that they are genetically very resilient. And one of the strategies that researchers can use to strengthen the resilience of a bacterial colony is called environmental switching. So in the lab, they will take a bacterial colony and expose it to a bunch of different environments. And by switching the environments that these bacterial strains are exposed to, they're able to train these bacterial colonies to become resilient to so many different types of stressors. So by the time they actually go out in the real world, they have a really great chance of survival. So to circle back to traveling, I've always remembered this concept because I feel like this is so true for me. Every time I expose myself and my routines to a new environment, I feel like my sense of self and my sense of structure in my life is strengthened. I, as a human being, am even more resilient. So this video is really a gentle reminder that every time you perturb your environment, you're actually making yourself stronger. Because then we know that whatever life throws at us and wherever we end up, we're gonna be okay and we're gonna be able to handle it. But what if routines become too rigid? What if they limit us? That's the balance we have to try and strike, structure with adaptability. And this is why I work with morning pillars rather than a very rigid morning routine. They're fundamental actions that I perform every morning, but they might look very, very different each morning depending on where I'm located. If you're someone who already keeps quite a structured morning, I would love to hear about it. Share any insights or experiences you've had. I am so appreciative of the amazing supportive comments under my videos, so thank you all for contributing to the positivity on my channel. So today I'm sharing the pillars of my morning routine that have survived many iterations and testing through time and space. This is what makes me feel grounded every single day. My morning routine consists of 5 pillars. The first is that I always start every single day with meditation. At least 10 minutes of meditation, and my absolute favorite way to meditate is with red light therapy on my face. I've talked about this in several videos, but it is truly addictive and it's a delicious way to wake up in the morning. It actually makes me look forward to meditating and to waking up, which has definitely not always been the case. So if you want to learn more about red light therapy, I have a video on it, which I will link below. But this is something I do wherever I am. If I didn't have my red light mask, I think it would be a lot harder for me to stick to this first pillar, but I would still try to because I think just the act of sitting in silence and clearing your mind is already so beneficial. A second very important pillar in my morning routine is self-grooming. And I know some people in the comments are probably gonna say, this is vain, I don't have time for this. I grew up with 2 scientist parents who didn't own makeup, didn't do skincare. My mom didn't even have a blow dryer. And so I grew up in this very down-to-earth environment, which I absolutely loved. But there's always been a part of me, ever since I was very little, that enjoys the act of grooming and taking care of my body and also expressing myself physically. So every morning I will do a skincare routine, which is just so self-pampering and soothing, and it just makes me so happy. I can't even explain it. I just want to show you guys I have rosacea because you guys keep leaving comments that I have perfect skin. I do take good care of my skin. I wear makeup every day and that's why my skin looks so clear, but I can make a video on how I have massively improved my rosacea, so I don't know how many people actually struggle with rosacea, but if that sounds interesting, let me know. After my skincare routine, I will also do some makeup. And on some mornings, I do just a little bit of makeup. On other mornings, I go for a more extensive makeup look. But the act of basically painting colors and things onto my face is such a lovely form of creative expression for me. It also helps me show up in the world in a way that feels like me. Whenever I skip the step of doing my skincare and makeup, I just don't feel like I'm expressing myself to the world in a way that is true to myself. So my morning makeup moments is really just one of the most enjoyable points of my day, and it truly grounds me. This is not going to be the case for everyone, and this is why I urge you to find what is it that grounds you and helps you show up as the best version of yourself. For some people, for example, getting dressed in a really nice outfit that feels put together and thoughtful, that helps them show up as the best version of themselves. For me, I don't have this. I can wear yoga pants and a sweatshirt and I will feel like I can still be the best version of myself. I don't know why skincare and makeup are just my form of self-expression, but it just really adds a lot to my day. So I always make sure to spend at least a few minutes on this every single day. Don't skimp on the sunscreen. Next, I like to consume supplements and tea that makes me feel really good. I've been on a matcha kick, but not just matcha. I've been making barley grass matcha. It might sound completely disgusting to some people, but I essentially mix barley grass juice powder with matcha powder and then prepare the matcha as you would by whisking it and adding not too hot water, but this drink just makes me feel so incredible. I am a coffee lover, but coffee has not been agreeing with me recently, and I love that matcha gives me that caffeine kick, but it also contains L-theanine, which helps to mitigate some of the jittery, anxious qualities that caffeine alone can have. But again, here, it's not about the drink. For me, it's also about the ritual of making it. So whether you like to make coffee or some lemon water, I always love having a little drink to sip on in the morning. It's very comforting. The next pillar in my morning routine is by far my favorite, and I cannot live without it, and it is my morning walk. Before I even started counting steps or being conscious about my walking, I was always going for a morning run or morning walk. It would just mentally ground me so much. And anytime I didn't do it, I felt like a complete chaotic mess the entire day. So now this is a non-negotiable. Every single morning I will go for a walk of at least 2,000 steps or approximately 1 mile. About 95% of the time I do this outdoors, but sometimes that's not possible for whatever reason, in which case I will take my morning walk inside. I know a lot of you have asked me, how do I walk if I don't feel safe outside in my neighborhood, or how do I walk when it's really hot? I walk inside all the time, and it can still be an extremely beneficial part of a physical activity routine. So don't ever feel like you cannot move your body, even if you can't get outside. The good thing about going outside is that you expose yourself to much more light, and this morning light exposure can be really helpful for our circadian rhythm to teach our bodies when it's morning, when it's light, and when we are supposed to be awake, and then when we're supposed to be sleeping when it's dark. It can help solidify that sleep-wake cycle that is so important to all of our biology. And the last pillar of my morning routine that really sets me up for success is eating a breakfast led by protein preloading. And you might be wondering what protein preloading is. This is essentially the idea of eating protein before a meal to help offset the glycemic impact of that meal. So by eating a little bit of protein before you eat whatever meal, however you like to eat breakfast, you can help manage your blood sugar, your mood, your hunger hormones. This protein varies for me a lot. Sometimes I might eat some nuts or some dried biltong as I have here, or you can have a tofu scramble or an egg or a piece of fish or whatever your protein of choice is. If you have it before you consume the rest of your breakfast, it can really keep that breakfast from spiking your blood sugar, and you will stay full and balanced for much longer after breakfast. This is something I recommend everyone try. Even those of you who do intermittent fasting, break your fast with a piece of protein first, then follow it by a meal, and for me it works wonders. There are actually a lot of studies on protein preloading, and I will link those in the description box below. And then for my actual breakfast, I have been on such an oat bran kick. I love eating a bowl of oat bran in the morning. Oat bran is actually just the outside husk of the oat groat, so it doesn't include the starchy inside, which normal oatmeal does. So oat bran is essentially a more fibrous, less starchy version of oatmeal, and I really like that, again, because it has a lower glycemic impact and it helps me feel really full for a really long time. On mornings when I have a bowl of oat bran, I just feel like I can conquer the world. Again, I'm not telling any one person what they should be eating, and I actually want to remind everyone to also be kind in the comments. Food can be such a religious thing where people are very enthusiastic about one thing or very against another, and I want to remind you that all of our bodies are genetically unique, microbiotically unique, hormonally unique. So I think it's important to remember and respect that the way that we eat and feel good in our bodies may not be relevant to another person and vice versa. So I would love for you guys to share your favorite breakfast recipes in the comments, but please be kind and curious about how other people eat rather than judgmental and prescriptive. One more thing I want to mention. While you're sleeping, your brain goes through a bit of a cleansing process. There are a lot of biochemical things happening in our body that are different to our biochemistry while we are awake. When we wake up each day, we're presented with an opportunity to set a tone for the day and with consistency to set the tone for the rest of our lives. That might sound like a lot of pressure, but it's actually a very liberating thought because at any moment we can step right back on the path to success. Every single morning you have a new opportunity to make the right choices, to go through your morning pillars, and to set yourself on the path of success. On the rare mornings when I've actually skipped these morning pillars, my entire day just feels off and I actually pay for it later. I'm not as mentally sharp, I'm not as productive, I'm not as happy. So no matter what time I have to be ready or be somewhere, even if I have to be somewhere at 6 a.m., I will always wake up at least 1 hour in advance so that I can go through these morning pillars and set myself up for a successful day. I hope this video gets you excited to continue to cultivate your perfect morning pillars, whatever they may be. Your routine and your personal pillars are tools for self-growth and resilience, and the more you can cultivate this structure within yourself, starting at the beginning of the day, the stronger you become, the more confident you become. And so that's why I'm very passionate about this. If you don't currently feel like you have any morning routine, literally just choose one single thing and start there. I would recommend choosing a short morning walk. It doesn't even have to be far or complicated. It can literally be 5 to 10 minutes around your block. Just do that one thing every morning consistently and prove to yourself that you can show up for the things in life. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to seeing you next time.